The school hallway was buzzing with energy. Students were laughing, chatting, and rushing to their classes. Among the chaos, you were standing by a locker, focused on rearranging your books for the next period. Your hair fell slightly over your face as you adjusted your glasses, completely unaware of the stares. Jungkook, the school's infamous bad boy, was standing a few feet away with his group of friends. They were joking loudly, their voices echoing in the hallway, but Jungkook wasn't paying attention to them. His dark eyes were fixed on you, despite the noise and the commotion around him. You seemed to exist in a different world, a world of quiet focus and determination. One of his friends nudged him. Jungkook, you listening? Huh? Jungkook snapped out of his trance, quickly masking his distraction with a shrug. Yeah, what were you saying? Before his friend could say more, Minji appeared. Her usual confidence tried making her presence known. Her long, perfectly styled hair swayed as she walked towards Jungkook, looping her arms around him unnecessarily. Hey Cookie, she said in a sweet tone, leaning close. What are you staring at? Jungkook shifted his weight and glanced away. Nothing, just zoned out. Minji raised an eyebrow suspiciously, her gaze following his previous line of sight. When she spotted you standing quietly by a locker, she scoffed. Her? Seriously? Jungkook frowned but didn't respond. Why are you staring at her? She's such a nerd. Probably hasn't stepped out of the library in years. Jungkook's jaw tightened. That shouldn't be your business. Let's go to the class. When Jungkook looked at her, she was already making her way towards you, making Jungkook sigh a little annoyingly. Minji stopped next to you, leaning casual against the lockers. Wow, you really don't talk to anyone, huh? She said, her voice overly sweet but laced with mockery. You sighed inwardly. Minji had a reputation for being mean, and you knew she wasn't here for a friendly chat. I don't see the point of wasting time talking when I have work to do, you replied quietly, not wanting to engage too much. Minji chuckled, flipping her head dramatically. Work? You mean burying your head in those boring textbooks? Don't you ever do something fun? Oh wait, you wouldn't know what fun is, right? Nerds like you live in their own little boring world. You didn't respond because it will only make things worse. Getting all shy, huh? What is it? Butterflies in your stomach because Jungkook glanced your way? That's adorable, really. You pressed your lips together, trying to focus on the book in your hand, but Minji wasn't about to let it go. Oh my god, you're actually serious? You really think Jungkook is interested in someone like you? Nerdy, plain, invisible? You don't even try. Here's some advice. Don't embarrass yourself by thinking you're special. Jungkook, he's way out of your league. He doesn't waste his time on whatever this is. You stole a glance at Jungkook. He was still standing where he was, but now a frown tugged at his lips. His relaxed posture has stiffened slightly and his brows knit together as his gaze shifted briefly to Minji. You knew he had noticed the exchange and probably realized she was causing trouble, but he didn't move closer, almost as if waiting to see how you would handle it. Taking a deep breath, you turned to Minji, forcing calmness into your voice. I don't think anything, Minji. Unlike you, I have better things to do than obsess over what people think. Minji tilted her head, feigning innocence. Oh really? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've already written some fairy tale in your head. New flesh, you're not the heroine, you're just background noise. You squared your shoulders, refusing to let her words rattle you. If I'm a nobody, then why are you standing here wasting your time on me? Her jaw dropped as she looked visibly shook, probably not expecting such a reply from you. You turned back to your locker, your hands trembling slightly as you pretended to organize your books. You weren't going to let her words get to you. You knew why she was acting this way. She had noticed the way Jungkook was looking at you and it had shaken her. You know, you should really try harder with your looks. Maybe then someone might notice you, or at least you wouldn't be so invisible. Her words were coming out of jealousy, but you refused to let them get into you. Taking a deep breath, you shut your locker with steady hands and turned to face her. Thanks for the advice, Minji. I'll think about it. Minji's smirk faltered, clearly annoyed that you weren't reacting the way she wanted. She rolled her eyes and let out a scoff before turning on her heel With her head held high, she marched back towards Jungkook, who had been standing at a distance the whole time. As Minji reached him, you couldn't help but glance his way. His eyes were still on you, a quiet intensity in his expression. He didn't seem amused by Minji's actions, his brows slightly furrowed as if he realized what she had been doing. Before you could think too much about it, Minji wrapped her arm around Jungkook's, drawing his attention back to her. You quickly turned away, gripping your notebook tightly as you walked down the hallway. Even as you left, the question lingered in your mind. Why had Jungkook been watching you like that, and why did it seem to bother Minji so much? Let's go to the classroom, Cookie. Jungkook pulled his arm back and Minji was surprised to see his reaction. What happened to you? You seriously had to do that? With that he walked, leaving her shocked. Did he behave like that because of her? As soon as the class ended, Jungkook was looking for you. He was really upset after how Minji acted and wanted to check on you if you're alright. You were sitting in the school courtyard, tucked away under the shade of the large oak tree, trying to focus on your books, but even the quietest spots weren't safe from the constant noise of high school chaos. The sound of footsteps approached and you sighed, knowing exactly who it was. You didn't even bother glancing up at him, pretending to stay focused on your textbook. As he walked closer, he stopped right in front of you, and you could feel his eyes on you, intense and surprisingly soft for someone who was actually known for his bad boy personality. Studying again? His voice came out smooth, teasing, almost like he was genuinely curious. You didn't even look up, pretending he wasn't there. What's it to you? He chuckled softly. Nothing, just wondering why you always hide behind books. What's so interesting about those? He leaned down slightly, trying to get a peek at your pages. You sighed, not in the mood of his games. It's called studying. You should try it sometime. Jungkook smirked, straightening up. Oh, I study just different things. He let his words hang in the air, knowing they would get to you. The bad boy charm he was known for, the effortless swagger, all of it was there. But there was something about you that made him just a little more playful, a little more persistent. You didn't give him the time of the day. And for some reason, that just made you all the more interesting. He sat down on the edge of the bench next to you, glancing at your books with a smirk. You shook the entire school today. You only look innocent, but you're actually not, right? He teased, making you finally look at him. Can I ask you why you are here? Oh, nothing. Just thought I would come over and apologize on behalf of Minji. You raised an eyebrow. Apologize for what? Are you serious right now? Jungkook grinned, showing off his usual cocky charm. Yeah, I know she's been a bit of a pain to you, and honestly she was out of line. I figured I would step in and say something. You blinked, completely thrown off. You apologizing for your best friend. Isn't that a little out of character for you? He shrugged, leaning even closer, his gaze never leaving yours. Well, you don't know me that well, do you? I don't mind admitting when someone is wrong, even if it's my best friend. You let out a small sarcastic laugh, rolling your eyes. Oh really? So now you're on my side. Shouldn't you be sticking by her? Isn't that what best friends do? Jungkook's expression softened slightly, but the mischief was still there. I told you wrong is wrong. I'm not about to back up someone just because they are my friend. If they are being jerk, you handle it well, and I respect that. You narrowed your eyes. You think I should believe you? Why would you take my side over hers? I mean, come on, you're Jungkook, the guy who can't see to care about anyone but himself. Jungkook scoffed in disbelief. Yeah, that's not fair. I'm here to apologize and you are being mean to me. I don't deserve this. You rolled your eyes. You know what? You should drop your act and leave me alone. I know you and your gang very well. Now you are accusing me. I never did anything wrong. In fact, I came here to tell you that I'm actually a little impressed. You stood up for yourself. Not many people would do that. You looked up at him, the sarcasm in your voice thick. You were expecting me to just sit there and take it. You think I would let someone like Minji get away with that? Jungkook took a step back, his eyes lingering on you as if he was actually considering your response. Damn, I like this side of you. You rolled your eyes, not in the mood for his flirting. Yeah, well, I don't need anyone's appreciation, especially not from someone who only notices me when it suits him. Jungkook's smirk never faltered, his gaze locked onto you with a teasing glint. You know, you could be a little nicer. I'm here apologizing and you are still being mean for no reason. You gave him a look, still not sure whether to be annoyed or impressed by his audacity. Why? So you can get some kind of hero credit? You're not fooling me. He shrugged, the cocky charm never leaving him. Nah, I just think you're cute when you're mad. You blinked, caught off guard by his bluntness. Excuse me? Jungkook leaned in a little closer, the teasing in his voice more evident now. Yeah, I like it when you get all worked up. You're cute when you're trying to act tough. You took a deep breath, forcing yourself to focus on anything but his smirk. Don't flatter yourself, Jungkook. I don't need your approval or your compliments. Jungkook chuckled, clearly enjoying this far too much. Oh, I know, but I think you secretly do. Otherwise, why would you even be talking to me right now? He winked, clearly pleased with himself. You looked at him. I'm not talking to you. I'm not even interested. Your heart skipped a beat when he came a little too close. But I'm interested, and I'll make you soon. Just see. He tucked a strand of hair behind your ear. See you in the class. With that, he walked away, smiling while you exhaled heavily, not realizing you were holding your breath. Your cheeks turned pink. Jungkook never showed interest in any girl, no matter how beautiful she is, but you always felt his eyes on you, and somewhere you also knew he didn't say all that for nothing. Meanwhile, at a distance, Minji had witnessed the entire interaction, her fist clenched and her jaw tightened. The sight of Jungkook's teasing, playful attitude towards you had pushed her over the edge. She knew deep down that Jungkook had something for you, and it fueled the fire of jealousy within her. She couldn't stand it. How could he be looking at you like that? How could he be soft on you, someone she deemed nothing special? She wasn't ready to accept it, not after everything she had done to make herself the center of his world. She didn't care if he saw her as a best friend. She couldn't accept the idea of him liking someone else, especially not you. The next day, as you were standing by your locker, Minji approached you. Her expression was cold, her eyes sharp with something dark beneath the surface. You really think Jungkook is interested in you? You looked up at her, eyebrow raised. You hadn't even said a word to her, but she was already on the attack. Why are you explaining this to me? Trying to prove something? Minji's lips curled into a thin smile, but the anger in her eyes were evident. I just thought I would let you know that Jungkook is mine. He is always going to choose me, and I'll make sure you know your place. You are a nobody to him. You leaned back against your locker, crossing your arms with a nonchalant smile that didn't quite reach your eyes. Okay, but why are you telling me all this? Are you perhaps saw that he already tries to get my attention even after you tried your best to make him notice you? Her blood boiled. You have no idea what you are messing with. Jungkook is my best friend and he is always going to choose me. I'll make sure you regret this. I don't think you stand a chance. You chuckled, not intimidated by her words, your tone light yet firm. You're cute when you get all worked up, Minji, but I'll tell you right now, you don't need to prove anything to me. I'm not afraid of you, and I'm certainly not afraid of Jungkook's attention. Minji's face turned crimson, fury and jealousy radiating off her. She stepped closer to you. Don't get too comfortable. I'll remind you just who you are up against. You met her gaze head on, the unease she tried to instill in you, only making you more confident. You keep thinking that, Minji, I don't need to fight with you for a guy. That's so cheap, but I understand your jealousy. But before the tension could escalate further, a familiar voice broke through the heated silence. Jungkook's figure appeared at the edge of the hallway, his gaze sharp and unwavering as he walked towards the two of you. He didn't seem surprised to see the confrontation, but his expression was more serious than you had ever seen before. Minji's eyes widened for a split second, but she quickly masked it with her usual arrogance. Minji, this is too much now. Minji turned to face him, her face flushed with anger and frustration. She took a step forward, clearly intent on defending herself. Too much? What's too much, Jungkook? She's the one trying to steal your attention and you are giving her that satisfaction. Don't you see what's happening here? Her voice was sharp, but there was a tremor of insecurity in her voice. Jungkook's eyes narrowed slightly as he glanced at you, then back at Minji. No, Minji. You're the one acting like this is some kind of competition. She doesn't need my attention like that, and for the record, I don't like it when you try to make a scene out of this. Minji's face contoured with disbelief as she stepped closer to him, her voice dripping with desperation. So you're really saying you're going to choose her over me? Her eyes were wide with a mixture of anger and hurt, but Jungkook remained unfazed, not even flinching at her proximity. This isn't about choosing anyone, Minji. You have always been my best friend, and that's all you are to me. But this, what you're doing now, it's not right. Minji's eyes flashed with something darker, and she took a bold step towards trying to close the distance between them. The hallway felt eerily quiet as everyone around you seemed to hold their breath, waiting for what would happen next. Then, in one swift motion, Minji reached up, her hands gripping Jungkook's collar as she leaned in, her lips moving towards his in an attempt to kiss him. The room seemed to freeze, you watched, wide-eyed. But Jungkook didn't even blink as he backed up, pulling away from her grasp with an almost mechanical precision. What the hell are you doing, Minji? What the hell is wrong with you? Minji's hand dropped to her side as she stood there, stunned, her face going from red with anger to pale with shock. The hallway was completely silent as everyone absorbed the sudden tension. Jungkook was standing tall, his expression hardening. You don't get it, do you? I don't like you, Minji. I never have. You are my friend, and that's it. You crossed the line just now, and I won't let you make things awkward for me or for anyone else. Minji opened her mouth to argue, but the words didn't come. She seemed stunned by the rejection, her eyes flickering between him and you, as if she was trying to understand what had just happened. The realization seemed to hit her like a slap in the face, and she took a step back. So this is it, huh? You're choosing her over me. Her voice was cold now, but there was a hint of vulnerability she couldn't quite hide. I'm not choosing anyone, Minji. I have told you that. You have been my friend and I have always cared about you. But this is too much. Even if I do like her, she's not a choice, but it's a place in my heart. His words shook not only Minji but you and everyone out there. Everyone seemed that coming, and he was finally honest about his feelings. So you really like her, huh? More than me? After everything we have been through? It's not about who's better. It's about what's real. And what's real is, I don't like the way things are with you right now, Minji. It's going too far. Minji's eyes flashed with frustration. So you are just gonna throw me away for her? I'm the one who has been there for you, Jungkook, not her. Jungkook took a deep breath, clearly frustrated now. This isn't about who's been there, it's about respect. And you're not showing it, not to me, not to her. Minji's hands clenched at her sides. You'll regret this. She's just gonna hurt you like everyone else. You think she's different? She's not. Jungkook's expression hardened. Maybe, but it's my choice to make, not yours. You really think she's worth all this? Jungkook's eyes didn't waver. Yes, I do. The silence in the room was suffocating as everyone tried to absorb the weight of Jungkook's words. You could feel the heat of the gazes around you, all of them waiting for what would happen next. Minji, on the verge of breaking, took one last look at Jungkook and you, her expression a mixture of rage and hurt. Fine, have her, but don't come crying to me when she betrays you. And with that she turned on her heel and walked off, her exit almost as dramatic as her entrance. Jungkook looked at you and you were not sure how to digest all that or react in that moment, so you also left. Slowly the hallway cleared and Jungkook sighed as he knew today he has lost so much, but maybe for good. He was happy that he cleared everything to everyone. And maybe you will also know why he was soft towards you. The whole time you tried to ignore the thoughts that were filling your mind after that drama, but as time passed, you realized you needed answers. You needed to know if what Jungkook had said earlier was truly how he felt. So after a while, you found yourself walking into the quiet courtyard where Jungkook was sitting alone on the bench, his hands stuffed in his pockets. He looked up when he heard your footsteps, his gaze softened when he saw you. There was a vulnerable side of him you hadn't seen before. You approached him cautiously, still unsure of how to navigate the strange tension between you both. Hey, you okay? Jungkook looked at you for a moment, a small sigh escaping his lips. He gave a slight nod, trying to brush off the intensity of what just happened. Yeah, I'm fine, and you? You nodded, taking a seat beside him, and there was silence between both of you for a few minutes. But Jungkook decided to break it. I'm sorry for what happened. Why do you apologize? It's not your mistake, never was. He looked at you for a moment, and finally you met his eyes. Can I ask you something? Anything? He said without thinking twice, as if waiting for this moment. The words you said earlier in the hallway, were they true? There was a brief moment of silence and Jungkook's eyes flickered with something you couldn't quite place. I meant every word. I can do anything to prove it to you. I have never been more sure of anything in my life. You swallowed, trying to steady your breath as your heart raced in your chest. This was the moment, this was the confession you had been trying to ignore, but now that he had said it, now that the words were out there, you couldn't deny it any longer. I know I've never made this easy for you, he said, his voice a little rough around the edges, but I need you to know, this isn't some joke or a game for me. You could feel your heart pounding in your chest as you met his gaze. There was no escaping the intensity between you now. You are not just another girl to me, Vian. You are the one I have been waiting for, the one I want, and I'm done pretending. He came closer, and for the first time there was no teasing, no smirk, only raw emotion, his feelings laid bare for you to see. So yeah, I like you, a lot, and I'll do whatever it takes to prove that to you. You looked at him, finally letting go of the doubt that you have created by yourself, thinking he would never even look at you. You don't need to prove anything. You have already done, and I think I believe you. A smile appeared on his face, although he was a bit surprised but happy. Then let me turn your belief in trust too. You should know what you mean to me. Finally you smiled. I'm ready, and trust built with time. He chuckled, holding your hand in his. I'm in no rush, Ryan. Time doesn't scare me. What matters is that we are here now, and the more time we spend together, the closer I get to proving how serious I am. He looked up at him, his gaze steady and full of sincerity. The bad boy image he always carried seemed to melt away, leaving someone genuine, someone who made it hard to look away. It's still hard for me to believe this. You have always been so what? Charming? Devilishly handsome, or maybe just annoyingly irresistible, he said, smirking. You rolled your eyes, but the faint smile tugging at your lips didn't go unnoticed by him. I was going to say unpredictable. I'll take that as a compliment. Keep things excited, don't you think? He said, grinning. You shook your head, though a laugh slipped out despite yourself. Jungkook's playful smirk softened as he squeezed your hand gently, drawing your attention back to him. But seriously, I meant everything I said. I'm not here to mess around. You're different. You always have been. I've known it from the start. Different how? You asked, blinking. You're the only one who has never cared about all the crap people say about me. You stood your ground even when I didn't make it easy. You don't just put up with me, you challenge me, and I can't get enough of that. Your heart raced as his words sank in. Every line spoke with raw honesty that left no room for doubt. He reached out with his free hand, gently brushing a stray strand of hair from your face. You don't need to rush to trust me completely. I'll prove it to you every single day, for as long as it takes. You looked down, your cheeks warming, and Jungkook tilted his head slightly, a soft chuckle escaping his lips. What, did I make the confident you shy all of a sudden? You're impossible, you know that? And yet here you are holding my hand, listening to my nonsense. Guess that makes us both impossible. You couldn't help but smile at his words, the playfulness in his tone easing the tension that had been lingering in the air. He took another step closer, his eyes searching yours. So, are you ready for this? For us? Because I promise you, I'm all in. You hesitated for a moment before giving a small nod, your voice quiet but sure. I'm ready. Jungkook's smile widened, and without another word, he lifted your hand to his lips, pressing a soft kiss to your knuckles. The gesture was so gentle, so unlike the Jungkook you thought you knew, that it left your heart racing all over again. Good, because this is just the beginning. Just wait, you'll see. With that, he let go of your hand reluctantly, stepping back slightly but never taking his eyes off you. As he walked you back towards the school, side by side, you couldn't help but feel that for the first time things were finally starting to fall into place.